Tonight on the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean, we're diving into Oscars reactions. Did they slap, or is the ceremony withering away into meaningless television that nobody cares about? This and all the latest movie news tonight on the pod.
Change the game just now. I have a rave.
These are the best ideas I've ever heard.
Seth Rogen can't
I'm saying that's the commentary that will exist.
A Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Defiled Mickey Mouse.
Oh my god!
Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. I am Joe. He is Sean. This is episode 91. We are creeping up to that 100 mark in just about 9 weeks from now. Sean, how the hell are you?
I am doing wonderful. Just absolutely grand. How long did it take you to do the did they slap joke? Because it's pretty good.
Well, when I was driving about an hour ago, I was like, oh, I'm totally doing that. And then when I just did an Instagram live, one of our fellow cinephile friends said, I'm looking forward to the podcast. I hope it slaps. And I was like, no, you don't get credit for that joke. I was so mad. So mad.
That is tough. That is tough when someone else just goes right from under you.
Yeah, really pissed me off there. But hey, we are going to dive into Oscars reactions as well as some news. Not a ton of news, but some interesting things to talk about today. And we haven't really, I think between the two of us, haven't really watched a whole ton. But we're going to talk about what we did watch. So first off, did you watch the Top Gun Maverick trailer?
I did.
Do you give a shit?
So here's the thing. Both of us are having trouble with our throats right now. That's just great. That's great podcasting right there.
I'm going to finish my chicken sandwich while you're doing that.
Yeah, while I cough up a lung. So when it comes to Top Gun Maverick, this trailer it gave the reboot ingredients to like the absolute maximum. One of them is the son of the dead father. Val Kilmer is mentioned in the picture frame, and he's just like, but he's obviously not going to be in it for like a numerous amount of reasons. Then you have like someone's going to die. And what's great about it is, you know that it's not going to be Tom Cruise. Because he'll just at this star power level he will refuse to die in his own movie. But the amount that they showed to show that someone is going to die, it wasn't just like, a plane exploding or a plane crash happening or something like that. They showed several different clips of the same funeral scene just to like really drive it home that someone's dead.
Do you know that I was just like, was there even a funeral scene? That shows how much I paid attention.
That shows right there. I mean, were you just distracted by Miles Teller and a mustache?
Well, who couldn't be or wouldn't be? But I got to tell you, like it gives me Independence Day Resurrection or whatever it was called. Independence
That's
Day.
What I mean. Yeah,
it gives me those vibes. Like it seems like it's too little, too late, and I don't care.
It's so tricky because that first trailer got me so excited. Because I mean, it showed very little of the movie, which, like, I guess, that was part of the magic of it. But it looked like it was going to be like this sleek direction. It was going to be a lot of fun. It was going to be very cool. And then now I'm seeing too much of it, and it looks just strange. It's I don't know. They're bringing in where it's going to be like, and I love some of these movies, but it's going to be like Creed. Or it's going to be like, I'm trying to think of other ones that do it. Honestly, The Force Awakens, where the sequel or the reboot becomes like a remake and it becomes a recycled version of it. Now, sometimes it's done great, like those two movies, and sometimes
Scream.
It's done very poorly. Scream is an interesting one. Yes, Scream does do it. You have to just admit that it does, but to a different degree for their self-referencing, I guess, which I suppose forgives it.
Does it though?
No,
I don't even understand what the movie's about. I mean, I know that he's being brought in to like be a trainer and like, whatever, an instructor. I'm not an instructor. Let's get that straight, or whatever his line is. But outside of that, like, what's the plot of this film?
It's Scrubs season 9. Tom Cruise is returning as a teacher. He was the student in the last one, and now he's the teacher. But they're immediately going on an extremely deadly mission where, without a doubt, one of them won't come back alive, which is a certainty that Tom Cruise gives, which I'm like, That's not how missions work, man.
Yeah. He's really good at pep talks.
It's like, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. No, that's not how we're doing this, dude. Like, but
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
How's that drink you're drinking there?
My emergency.
Oh God, is Sam still sick?
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot
geez.
she said it on the Oscars live. Yeah.
Oh, she didn't say it on the Oscars live. I just heard her the whole time.
Yeah, that's gotten worse.
Great, wonderful. So Sean, I didn't put this on the outline in terms of trailers, but did you happen to see the trailer for Men from A24?
Is there a new one?
The first one.
Oh, the first one. Maybe
Came out last week.
I might have avoided it, but
Oh wait, maybe it came out a month ago. No,
the full trailer.
The full trailer came out 6 days ago.
6 days ago. I know there was one I watched.
Okay, so I'll just say watch it because it's very interesting. It's so the idea behind that film is that Jesse Buckley's character goes through a personal tragedy, and the character retreats alone to the beautiful English countryside, hoping to find a place to heal. However, someone or something from the surrounding woods appears to be stalking her. What begins as simmering dread soon becomes a fully formed nightmare inhabited by her darkest memories and fears. It looks just really fascinating and totally like an A24 film.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Garland is at this point like there's a certain amount of untouchable that he is. I mean, going back, like we have wow, I can't remember the titles of the names. Ex Machina. We have Devs, which is like this very interesting, not so popular FX series, which like bended way too many minds. And the movies is Annihilation, which was
I was trying to remember which one that was.
It's like sort of it was an unadaptable book, and it turned into a movie that if you claim you understand it, you're lying. But it is truly something special when you do watch it. You're transformed visually, like in a 2001 Space Odyssey kind of way, like where you're transposed in a way that works still.
So let's talk about another special thing that happened recently. We got the deleted scene from the Batman that showed us the the other scene that there would have been with the Joker that's more involved, and it sort of mirrors the Riddler interrogation scene with the Batman. But essentially, we get to get a closer look at what this iteration of Joker, this time played by Barry Keoghan, is that how we say his name?
I believe so.
And he was just recently in Eternals, how he would bring this character to life. We did see the character a little bit in the movie. Spoilers, but it's been out for a while now, so deal with it. Matt Reeves, the director, did talk about this a little bit in various interviews. He had said that this version of the Joker doesn't have anything to do with like falling in the vat of chemicals, whatever. But he has a congenital disease that keeps him smiling through the scars, though we don't know where they came from. He said that he found his inspiration for the character, or this iteration of the character, in The Elephant Man, which made a lot of sense to me. And it also sounds like there's a possibility of Joker showing up in the HBO Max show that's going to focus on Arkham, which I think would be great. I actually would really appreciate that rather than doing another Joker-focused Batman movie. But yeah, interesting scene. It's just kind of a little bit of a back and forth. We hear the laugh. We see the Joker possibly take a paperclip off of the stack of papers there, which could play into something else later. But what did you think of this? It was a little odd to me.
I avoided this clip like the plague because it was shared everywhere. And so I saw it. I obviously saw like what he looked like, and I saw like the muted version, but I really did kind of refuse to see it because I was getting bored of the constant iterations of Joker. And I didn't even want to express that because I didn't want to be that guy that's like, I'm sick of the Joker. I don't even want to do that. But in this like regard, this is still another iteration, and it is a different one still, and it's got the Silence of the Lambs quality to it, where it's just like, can you help me with this case? And so, like, God help me after watching a 2-hour and 50-minute movie, but this scene could have fit in kind of nicely, and I understand why they wanted to take it out. Maybe it would have been a distraction, which doesn't make any sense considering there's another one in there somewhere. But there was something really great about this scene. There was the moment where he's already dealing with a villain. He's already dealing with the Riddler, who like is almost like himself in some ways, and then he's dealing with the Joker, who in some ways has already dealt with that same deal. We already have the mysterious origins, no vat of acid. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit Ledger's, where Ledger just sort of shows up, and that's it. That's all we get. It's just that I think that every single time they're just going to go more messed up and more messed up and more messed up, to the point where like we can't even see the Barry Keoghan version of this Joker because it's so friggin' disturbing. And I do like that, but like, what's the next one going to be? Just the head is missing and like, I don't know, like just a tongue there, just like waving or something. Like what, like, how can we make this more disturbing? We're reaching critical mass at some point, but at this point, bottom line is I surprisingly enjoyed this scene, enjoyed this Joker, and it would have been interesting to see it in there. I do think the Batman is pretty sleek without it.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea that they cut it out. If you remember back, it may have been late last year, or maybe it was even earlier this year, they were still testing versions of the film. And the leaks were saying that one had a character in it, the other was the character out of it. My thought is that this was what they were talking about, whether this scene would be in there and they'd give more weight to the Joker, because the way that Joker plays in the Batman now is that you see him, it's him, you get an idea that it's him, but there's still like, it's just a nod. It's not him taking over the scene or anything, or the film. So I liked how they did it. I agree with you there. Comments are saying you'll be the next Joker.
I don't consider myself enough to be an agent of chaos. If I don't get my iced coffee at Dunkin' Donuts at exactly 6:25 every single weekday, then I really start to have like quite a bit of an issue with myself. And so I can't really handle like the agent of chaos situation. But otherwise, also, I have to dye my beard hair green, I think, as well. Or I don't know how that works. But
I think anyone that tuned into your live stream of the Oscars would argue with you and probably argue that you could be an agent of chaos.
I was just so mad that we'll talk about this in a second, but the like 20 to 30 viewers, the peak of people on my live stream was right after what happened.
Of course.
I'm like, you nerds don't want to know about the other stuff.
All right, let's dive into what we've been watching. I'm going to start off with The Lost City. This is the Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum film that popped into theaters last Friday. Happy to report that Channing Tatum still flirts with me from the screen. So we've had a pretty good start to the year here with Dog.
That's two so far, right? Two for two?
Two this year.
All right.
So good. It's a fun movie, but what I'll say about it is it didn't live up to the hype. The initial hype about it was that it was like, out of control, funny and whatever. And so many of the jokes didn't land. Like they made a penis joke at one point that just did not land. And I was laughing, but the way it came across was just like so half-hearted. But it was interesting. Daniel Radcliffe was pretty good as the bad guy. It's nice to see him actually like stepping out and trying to distinguish himself from his career as Harry Potter more. He's been doing that a lot, but he worked for this. It was kind of like the young billionaire of the family and going a little crazy there. A lot of the sets to me looked very fake, and and then other things were very obviously green screened, and it was driving me insane. But it also was very slow at the beginning, and I think that's what kind of set me up for like, well, I don't really care what happens. The best part of the movie is that Bullock and Tatum have absolute wonderful chemistry. They are hilarious together. Sandra Bullock in a comedy is always a home run for me. I love her so much. I think she's hilarious. And Channing Tatum is just like that delightfully goofy guy in this again. But it works with her. And I found it entertaining, but disappointing at the same time, if that makes sense. I do like these types of movies, though. This was a throwback to, early 2000s movies or, even late 90s movies that were just fun. Like, they're ridiculously plotted and stuff, but they're a lot of fun and you don't have to think about them. Like when I see The Northman in a couple weeks, oh my God, like that's the complete antithesis. Like we're good. Like I'm gonna like throw up during that movie trying to figure out what's happening. But The Lost City just spoon feeds you everything, and I loved it. I do want to talk about Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is in it for an extended cameo, and he's really freaking funny in it. And he interacts with Channing Tatum a lot during this cameo, and it's absolutely hilarious. I'll say there is an after credit scene. I won't tell you what it is, but it was.
I've heard about this.
It was stupid as shit, is what it was. It was very, very stupid. The last person I want to talk about is Davine Joy Randolph. She plays the literary agent to Sandra Bullock's character, and she was absolutely hilarious. She was consistently funny, and she wasn't always like not like bombastically funny, but just like delivering her lines like straight faced and deadpan in a lot of ways.
I haven't seen this movie, but like in other movies I've seen her in, she is extremely practical with her humor.
Absolutely.
And it's unbelievable because you could see her go goofy. She has that capability, not just from like a physical prowess, but just like from the way she like shapes her face. Like she could go off, but she really just like very realistically narrows like it in. So I'm excited to see this. I meant to see it today. I'll eventually see it. I don't know. Whenever I try to plan for a movie, I don't end up seeing it. So I'm just gonna.
They'll throw it on Paramount in like 30 days or something. So
I'm not getting freaking Paramount.
Do a 1-week trial for it and watch everything that you haven't watched on there. The two other people, real quick. I'm going on and on about this, and I know you haven't seen it, but Oscar Nunez from The Office is in this.
Oh, nice.
And it's one of those like, is it? That is him, and it was hilarious. And then sadly, Patty Harrison is in this from Together, and very stupid role, one laugh out loud line, and that may have been like one of two lines she had. It just wasn't. She was relegated to like the dumb assistant millennial character, and I didn't like it at all. I was a little disappointed because she is someone that everyone's starting to watch now.
I am bummed they gave out probably what I think was the funniest line is Brad Pitt just when they said, why are you so handsome? It's like, my father was a weatherman. I think that for some reason that's just such a damn humorous line, like just so well written and delivered perfectly.
My favorite part, and if you go to the Instagram for The Lost City, they shared this clip. It is Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum going back and forth about like what's sexist or not. Oh, and it's like, and it is just a really funny, like it was just a perfect back and forth. Like it shows how well they work together. And how, you have to in order to deliver on a scene like that, you have to have the chemistry, and they certainly had the chemistry. Apparently, from what we've learned on the press tour, is that Channing Tatum ad-libbed a lot of stuff, and they didn't use any of it because Sandra Bullock couldn't stop laughing. She said everything was so stupid, but she couldn't stop laughing.
That's great.
It's so funny. They're sharing videos back and forth. Like Channing Tatum shared one the other day where he was filming her and she didn't know, and she like flicks him off and stuff. And I just like I love that because she's just like a real person, So it's an entertaining movie, but not what I wanted it to be. I think the initial reactions out of South by Southwest were like, "Oh my God, it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's incredible," and now it's at like 74%.
Who the hell goes to South by Southwest? Because everything out of South by Southwest got like 100%, and they need to chill. Like,
well, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is the other one that got 100%, and I'm like, I don't know about this one.
I don't trust. Well, first of all, we could talk about, we don't need to talk about this. This is deferring because this hasn't come out yet, even though you've seen it. But like, I was so excited that Moon Knight got 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's fun. That's different, man.
I felt validated. I felt validated that it got 77% because I like we won't dive into it, but like I'm still not sold on it. It's confusing, and I want to see how it lands. But I don't love it. Maybe it will be like once it all wraps together. We've talked about this on the pod before too, when like you have a series or you have a series of movies or whatnot. Like I want to see how it wraps up and how they put that bow on it, because sometimes that can influence the other pieces that were laid out early on. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's not my favorite series. Who would have thought Hawkeye would be one of my favorite series? I will say that every time. But
that's interesting. Yeah.
Hawkeye was incredible.
I like Hawkeye a lot. I mean, I'm a Loki guy. Everyone likes Loki, though.
Loki was great. Yeah. And when I say so much better, I should clarify, so much better than it was expected to be.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about like waiting for something to wrap up, I think of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, that was a movie they stretched out into.
Absolute nightmare.
How about the outfit, Sean?
I finally saw a movie in the theaters. I feel like I have not seen movies in theaters as much as I obsessively usually do. And so that's bummed me out. But
You saw more during COVID than you do now.
probably, I mean, but yes, I did finally see The Outfit, which I guess was more like a week ago, but like feels like 7 weeks ago between what's happened. But in The Outfit, it's absolutely wonderful. Mark Rylance obviously plays a tailor. No, he plays a cutter. And he he makes suits and is involved with the mob or some slippery people and everything like that. And gets involved in a little bit of a gang standoff, yada yada yada. I loved this movie. I think that like there's like these great twists and turns. It's like just so cool. The one setting was like a lot of fun. However, when you do the one setting, and this is the part where I feel gross saying this. This is where I just feel gross saying this, but I could imagine this so much better with an auteur director. And that sentence makes me want to throw up.
Who are you?
I know that that's the worst. Like, I guess like what I mean by that is, first of all, what I mean is Graham Moore is a nice, serviceable director where he's like, hey, if you need a director, he's there for a shoulder to cry on and he can watch Sleepless in Seattle with. But, you're not really going to get like something interesting from him. And I remember this from The Imitation Game, where I remember thinking like, this is an exceptional story. I'm moved, but the surrounding presence here it doesn't do it for me. Like there's something about it where it was made so flatly. And then I remember the same thing was happening here where I'm like, I should be like really freaking out. But instead this like was made from its technical level at such a flat moment that I really want him, I want him to write more, but it was just rough seeing that kind of direction from him. So, or, maybe I'll root for him and he'll do great. But that was my main issue with it. Auteur, I shouldn't have said auteur. That sounds stupid. But
See, I take that differently. Like I thought he handled this really well and kind of exceeded the expectations I had for him. So I'm excited to see what he does now because I think this can be used to get him some more exciting projects that will allow him to maybe do a little bit more. I also keep thinking about this. I could see this on Broadway.
Oh God, yes. This like I was wondering if this was a play at first. I don't want to I really don't want to shit on Graham Moore. Like I'm rooting for him. The next Graham Moore film, I'll see it because there's
Friend
something
of the pod,
there.
Graham Moore.
They're gonna bring him on the pod. I will say that I do love your you did this last week, your Dylan O'Brien take, where it's weird. The casting is weird. I think that like it's out of place. And I texted you this, so we talked offline about this, but
that was amazing.
I loved that casting. Who else do I talk to? I loved the casting because it was so weird, because he felt like a Fredo character that was disappointing his father, and it was just like he did seem like a kid, like screwing it up. Meanwhile, it's not Johnny Storm, is it? No, that's the Fantastic Four guy, Johnny. One second, I gotta look at the cast. I got the cast right here.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Johnny Flynn. So Johnny Flynn, and he was like the other like gangster in there. Johnny Flynn like kind of kept it cool, and then you had Zoe Deutsch, who like also did pretty well, but they did sort of feel a little bit like kids playing dress up, and that's not fair because I've seen them in younger roles, so it's tough for me to jump them to anything more. Like I feel like that's unfair of me to do. But it did feel like it was like three teenagers and Mark Rylance.
There was a review that I saw recently, and I'm trying to find it real quick, but it essentially said like Dylan O'Brien shines in the outfit, and I was like, complete opposite of what I said. But
a little bit strange. Yeah, like I wouldn't go that far. I think the casting is good just because like the character, he's not a complete fuck up, but he's like this little guy that wants to be a hero, and so I like it for that. But yeah, for nothing else. But I do have to say, like Mark Rylance, I mean, he's like it sucks to be any other actor. It must suck to be any other actor because Rylance just absolutely just like top tier in this, because you don't know where he is or where he stands or what he's doing. I mean, honestly, like after like the first act like starts, you're like, okay, I think I know what's going on with this guy, and then he's got a few things up his sleeve. My big spoiler is there's 800 spoilers in this. That's the other problem, is that the last twist, or maybe the last two twists, were when I started to say "come the fuck on" out loud. But and I think you know exactly where I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But
I'll
go for it.
I did like too how it was like kind of segmented. Like they would start talking about a character, and then like the next segment, you would like get that character walking in, right? And then like that character, something would happen, they would leave or whatever, and then like they had referenced someone else, and the next character to walk in was that character. It just seemed very, I don't know. I loved the structure of it. I was so into it, and it was a movie that I hadn't even heard about when I went to watch it. So kudos to them. I mean, it's honestly, I think it's one of the better movies of this year so far.
It's absolutely worth seeing. Absolutely worth seeing. Had a like absolute blast. It makes it seem like I didn't by shitting on more, but I don't want to shit on more anymore.
Please do not anymore.
More.
So let's shit on the Oscars a little bit.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, we got the Oscars this past week, and I think we both can agree that all of the categories kind of fell the way we thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
You did pretty well in the pool. Oscar pool, and Darren beat you, and he's very excited about it.
Last year I was like middle of the pack because of all these surprises, so I'm cool with what I got now.
So yeah, I mean, not a lot of surprises when it came to that, but I think we need to talk about the show itself. And first off, let me ask you how you felt about the comedians. We had Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Regina Hall.
I think they did quite fine. I think that this is the improvement next year. For the love of God, one host. Then that one host will do one dumb off-site gag. That host will do one dumb like costume party thing. That host will do their monologue, and then like a couple of little things, maybe that one dumb crowd work thing. Instead, you have three hosts, kind of each of them doing their own thing with those, and that's where a lot of the time goes. And they wanted to parcel it out to all three of them, and their stuff was funny. There's been like people like kind of debating which ones are funny, which ones are not. I really did pretty much like everything. I mean, I even liked the Academy Museum only because I don't think that was funny at all, but because I'm excited to go to that one day. So I always want to see what's going on in there. But I like it's just one of those things where I think, Amy Schumer got up there, did like a straight shot monologue, and it was exceptional. And like that's like all I really wanted, and everyone loved it. The Schumer haters were like, "Oh, that's kind of funny. Like this is good."
She did a good job.
And then Regina Hall did the funny thing with like all the attractive people, and then of course everyone started to get weird about that, and it's like, okay, you're right, but shut up.
Everyone got weirder about it, and I was making a list of who I wanted to COVID test.
It was just one of those things where I was just like, oh, come on, guys. I mean, I get it. You're right, but I can't deal with it. Like and then Wanda dresses up as King Richard, and it's hysterical, and it all like really did work. It was a time suck because it was too many people. That's what it was, really.
Yeah. I really liked Amy Schumer in this. I've been a fan of Amy Schumer. I think sometimes she falters a little bit, but I think she has a pretty good pulse on, be humanizing comedy a little bit more. I don't think she's vicious with it all the time as she used to be. I think she's grown, and maybe that's why I like her. I think she's grown as an artist there. But I really like the line at the beginning, like they hired 3 female comedians because it was still cheaper than one male. That was hilarious. That, and then like when she came back out after the Spider-Man gag, and she's like, it feels like something happened. The vibe is off or something. I loved that. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. The only thing I had an issue with them. So first of all, they were hired to do a job. So they did the job they were hired to do. And I think we all have to remember that like they were brought on to do what they did. And that was the producers that decided to do that. I don't like making fun of the Best Picture movies.
Yeah.
I think that is a little weird when you're there to celebrate all those movies. There were jokes. The one that comes to mind is talking about how boring Power of the Dog was, while I was clapping and agreeing.
Joe, this is this is huge. You're standing up for Power of the Dog.
No, I'm standing up for
that is
all
funny. Like, yeah,
of the category. Let's
well,
not
Don't
go
Look Up
crazy.
did that as well. Like,
Yeah,
they did that with Don't Look Up.
the critics stand like the. I
Yeah.
guess I didn't see the reviews or the critics reviews or something. That just seems really off. I mean, the whole thing is to celebrate the movies and to celebrate movie going in general. I think that just felt weird. The fan vote stuff seemed like half-hearted. Like
Mhm.
it kind of, I mean, it was fine, and people are losing their minds, like going off about it, but whatever. Like it is what it is. Um, that was a nice touch, but still just felt so out of place because we ended up with another 3 hour 45 minute um love letter to themselves that was supposed to be shorter because they had cut a bunch of categories and still ran over time and was longer than like the past couple years. And that absolutely is insane to me. I don't understand how that could happen and why. Like, we better be reverting back to having all the categories next year because that was just BS.
It was this failed experiment because it brought back the disrespect, or it was like straight up the disrespect. I will be honest, like a couple of them did edit quite fine. Like I was sort of surprised by like when they did best sound, I was just like, oh wow, it just like moved it right up there and stuff like that. Here's the problem I have with it is that someone like me and someone like you and someone like most of the people we talk to that watch the Oscars, I didn't pay attention when that was being presented at all because I knew that best sound went to Dune already. So I was like working on my blog or I was like fiddling with my phone or doing whatever because I already knew that was happening. So with those 8 categories, I already knew who won. I'm not watching it at all. I don't care. Now, like there were some people like on my live stream that were saying like, boy, I hope Dune wins best sound. I'm like, don't you know that it did? Like we all found out about that a couple of hours ago. So there were some people, I guess, that didn't look before, but really? I think like it was, I don't know.
Did you hear that for the makeup and hairstyling, they cut a big piece that was pretty important?
Yep.
That was where Linda Dowds had won for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And she said, quote, there are tens of thousands of craftspeople just like us who are below the line, who come into work every day and work long and hard and who never get the opportunity to have this kind of recognition. I just hope that each and every day on set, everyone takes a moment to just look around and look at all those people who work so hard. So that kind of is shitty that they cut that piece because it seems like a really important piece to share, but whatever. Sean, these were still the second lowest Oscars rated second lowest rated Oscars. Watched Oscars. There we go. Thank you. I'm thanking you, and you didn't help me. So what happens from here? Do they just send an email next year?
I honestly, it's so difficult because I've run my head through this, and all I think about is they're stumbling to relate to something that no longer exists.
Mhm.
It's a thing where they want to be the most watched TV program, and unless you're a sports game, you can't be that. And that's just the facts. That's just where we are. We love to see sports, more primal, but there are still a lot of people that love to see awards and things of that nature, and I think you just try to keep it in a classic realm. You try to, like, what I think is go way back to the classic. And I'm not saying like hire Billy Crystal, but hire a Billy Crystal like performer for the host. You get a John Mulaney in there. You bring back Whoopi Goldberg. You bring back someone that's been there before. You like maybe not those, but like I look at this and I just see like something where they keep on going in this direction. They're spidering out, and it doesn't make any sense. I mean, they're doing these. They're like their goal of trying to bring back like the the Oscars of old are a Godfather reunion and a Pulp Fiction reunion, a White Man Can't Jump reunion. That like those things they didn't really work at all. I mean, in the Godfather reunion, I don't believe Al Pacino and Robert De Niro spoke.
Said a word. Yeah.
And it's like, and also it's a Godfather reunion. I'm expecting like Duvall and I'm expecting like James Caan. I mean, James Caan has not been like outside in 14 years, but I wanted like, if I'm going to get something of that fruition, it has to be worth it. And I understand that the Godfather reunion was literally right after the slap. And so it is one of those, I get it. It's not, that's not going to be the most important thing. And everyone heads were still spinning like a top, but I don't know what this could have been. I know that like it would have been really terrible if it wasn't for you're talking about average viewers when you talk about that. Let's talk about what the spike was probably when that slap occurred, or probably when right after that slap occurred. These views would have been a lot lower. I mean, I'm stumbling over my words because I really don't have a solution. I don't have a solution, but I think we go back to the classics, honestly.
I'll say that the Hollywood Reporter just released an article, Academy members blast, quote unquote, disrespectful and clumsily edited presentation of 8 Oscars. So there's still some fallout to come from all that. I think I'm very confused about what their intent was, because when you add in fan stuff like that and you bring the comedians in and you're I thought they were trying to appeal to more of the common moviegoer. And, bring in the Encanto, We Don't Talk About Bruno performance that they completely... That was a home run opportunity for them, and they butchered it. They sang one verse of it and then turned it into something completely different. I like the representation on the stage. I thought that was really cool, but it was so bonkers to me that they just completely turned it into an ad for the Oscars.
And they did it at 9:50 p.m.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just one of those things where, like, they weren't reading the tea leaves at all. They were wondering, like, okay, 9:50 p. I looked at my watch. I was like, this is for kids. This is the part that's for kids. They sang the Trolls song at the beginning of the Oscars in 2016. Like, where?
I think I tweeted like 20 minutes before that, like, where's the We Don't Talk About Bruno? Because I think everyone's going to bed. But the other thing is, the reunions and stuff that they did, like Pulp Fiction and The Godfather and what's the White Men Can't Jump. That's not the common moviegoer. And like, I think with the fan Twitter votes, you're appealing to younger moviegoers who are going to give you those ratings. You're still going after the older generations when you're recognizing White Men Can't Jump in Pulp Fiction. It just seemed kind of odd to me that was the direction they went. Great movies, don't get me wrong. The Godfather definitely deserved the recognition. Mm-hmm. I probably would have had different people than 3 extreme sports individuals introducing the Bond shit, because that made no sense to me.
Maybe some of the Bonds.
I was waiting for them all to walk out, all the ones that were still alive. It was just so odd to me. And then even like the In Memoriam seemed a little weird, because
I will stand for that one. I like the In Memoriam a little.
I liked how they did it. I think you run into a challenge when you have people speaking about only a few of them.
That is something that is run into every year with it. I do remember Robin Williams, where Billy Crystal came out there and did like a 2-minute long speech about him after the rest of the monologue, and it was, and I do think about that. I'm like, what the hell? What about the rest of them? Yep. And I think that's a tricky balance. The fact that they did it for a few does help a little, but it's tricky. You're right, it's tricky.
But and then in between, you had singers that were like jumping in and doing. Yeah. They were kind of the focal point. I don't. It just seemed it seemed very off. It was more up. I don't want to say upbeat in Memoriam. The show itself was more intended to be upbeat. It completely got derailed when
Absolutely.
we have to get to this.
Let's talk about this now. And yeah, let's talk about it. So basically, everyone knows about it. So to recap, it just seems pointless, but it was the slap. Will Smith gets up on stage after a joke is told. And, I'll say it this way, in poor taste, but in the most playful of poor taste you could imagine. And, she's doing the eye roll. She looked upset, but eye roll kind of situation. Will Smith laughs at it. Is on camera laughing at it. And then the next moment, walks up stage, slaps him, open fist slaps him across the face. Obviously, I think the majority of the world thought that was like a gag, because the sound sounded like a stage slap almost. And then, of course, when the sound cuts out right after that, that's when you know it's not that. And then Chris Rock is visibly shaken. That's when you know it's not a performance, because Chris Rock is a spectacular comedian, but is a dog shit actor. And so you don't act like that unless everything that just happened is real. And, props to his performance. He still kind of told his dumb joke about getting high and watching Netflix, and, and got into the nominees and stuff like that. And was genuinely shook up when he was talking to Questlove, because, Questlove's speech was completely obviously like the rest of the night was derailed. It was a beautiful speech. I watched it later to be able to see it, but At this point, I don't know. Like, I can't fathom what happened, because my stomach turned at that moment. Not just because that was like a terrifyingly uncomfortable moment, but my stomach turned because the guy that like has been a summer blockbuster star for my entire life and was about to become an Academy Award winner, to basically put the perfect mantle on his legend status, just burnt everything down in seconds. And I was just kind of blown away by that. It was truly just something like I'm still getting chills about that, because I remember when that moment happened, I couldn't fathom the words. And then I think about this later and I'm like, how is he still there? How is he still allowed to be there? Like, he's gonna be getting an Academy Award in a moment, and that just doesn't seem right. Then the speech, I'm taking too much time, but like the speech doesn't seem right either, because he's like justifying what he did and then apologizing for it. And then after the apology, we see him partying at the Vanity Fair party, which like really, really bothers me. Like, you get the hell out of there. And he didn't take the picture with the 3 other performers that
I saw that,
which is like, that's why I thought he got the hell out. And then I saw the video that he was at the Vanity Fair party. And that
seems disrespectful to me that he didn't take that picture.
So I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of that. It seems like maybe that was taken later, or like he was like, I don't know what the hell was happening there.
I think here's what happened.
Yeah.
No, here's what happened. Well, I don't think that's it, because I think the Academy couldn't make any damn decision that night. But I think that his publicist was like, nope, you're not doing this. Like, we're getting you off the red carpet. I mean, the press room, we're not doing this. So there's the reports that the Academy was going to, the sources were saying that the Academy was talking about making a decision as to whether or not he should go up on stage, but they just couldn't get everyone together because they were all sitting in different parts of the theater. That was the excuse. And someone responded on Twitter and said, well, maybe they should all effing sit together next year. Listen, he deserved Best Actor for the role. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't have been allowed to go up and accept it there. I think that should have been the punishment. The problem is now anything that comes after, one, it's a delayed reaction from the Academy, and two, it's got to be more serious. It's, they could have not allowed him up there to accept it, and that could have been the end of it. But now it's got to drag on. I mean, listen, it's a very tough subject that I don't think we want to get into here on the podcast about comedy and, where's the line with that, because shock comics are some of my favorite comics. And, I don't know if there was ill will or ill intent there. There was ill will. I don't know if there was ill intent. But, it's a very tricky situation. Was he, the biggest thing is he wasn't right to go up there and hit him like that. Number one, it's embarrassing. It's number one, violence is never the answer. Two, it's absolutely embarrassing for the Academy and everyone that's involved there. It's disrespectful to everyone that's there. And to me, it puts a major blemish on his career, and I don't look at him the same. I will never look at him the same. It also makes me think he needs some help, like that anger. Because the other thing is, looking at the actual clip of it, he's laughing and stuff. We don't get to see him turn towards Jada, but I'm assuming he turned towards Jada and saw her and was like, whoop. And that's when he did it. But it just seemed like a very weird reaction to go from 0 to 100 so quickly. And we're going to talk about this a little bit in another story in a little bit. But I worry about, I'm guilty of, I made a meme afterwards because he called himself a vessel for love in his speech. And like he spent 3/4 of his speech trying to justify what he did in a way, and explaining why he did what he did, and then apologizing to the Academy and his fellow nominees, and that's it. And that just seems so stupid. Like I was just very frustrated by all that. I don't like how any of it was handled. He behaved like a child. He behaved like an absolute disrespectful child, and he's lucky that he wasn't arrested, and he's lucky that he's not being charged.
It's, everyone is okay, and the memes are there, and the remixes are there, and I'm laughing at them, and it's fun. Like it was funny, but it could have been worse. And this was an assault, and Chris Rock is okay, and Like that's fine, but this was literally an assault. And this is not the Moonlight debacle. This is not Jack Palance doing push-ups. This is not the streaker in the 70s behind David Niven. This is like something that's worse than that. And so you can't in the next Oscars, and I don't think they'll do this, by the way, but you can't do like the you never know what will happen. Could be this, and like have that. You can't have that be like one of the commercials for it. And you have to like kind of like go off like nothing happened, which is what they did during these Oscars, which was a bad call. I mean, the occasional host and presenter like said something, like Diddy said something, and like I think what Diddy said was really like good, but then they're like he was just kind of like, hey, we're gonna try to like get this together a little bit later and stuff. Like we'll like we're gonna piece this back. Everybody just focus on this now. We're gonna handle that later after this sort of situation. But then there's the cuts to Will Smith laughing at jokes about what he did. And, what bothers me is that, first of all, Will Smith is laughing about that. I'd be feeling like an idiot and like having my head in my hands or something like that. But also, a camera is cutting to them. That is a choice by a producer to have a camera cut towards him. I never have seen an awards show do that before. All the award shows cower and they're like, all right, if we're not going to kick him out, we're not going to put the camera on him anymore. That's for sure until he has to go up there and accept the gold trophy. Like it's difficult. And I look at this, and this is actually the part I've actually rehearsed this. And every time I've rehearsed this, I've cried. So just get ready. But there's moments tonight that are outstanding and are some of the greatest moments in Oscar history that aren't going to be talked about. And who knows, they probably wouldn't be talked about. But like Yoo Yeon-jung presented the Best Supporting Actor Oscar. And she had trouble. She confessed that she had trouble communicating with most of the audience there. And she presented it to someone who also has trouble communicating with most of the audience there. And the look on her face and the glee when she was able to sign his name, and the two of them were able to know each other, like they were able to like actually like connect for a moment. And then we see the applause in sign language, and which is this, which I absolutely love and just will do from now on because I think that's amazing. And it was just like this moment of connection that was outstanding, and no one's ever going to know about that ever. And it's just like something that like is really, really going to bother me. But there's just so many things that I'm like pissed off about that I'm reading my notes now. Like, you're giving Jane Campion won the award for Best Director, and Chloe Zhao is there. Have Chloe Zhao, a woman, give it to the next woman. Like, what are we doing that stuff's not happening in this sort of thing? Now I'm just going off the rails, so I'm going to let you take over because I'm like shaking. But
well, it's very frustrating. Like, there's a lot of weird decisions that were made that just didn't make any sense to me. I think we just to put a bow on I don't know if this is putting a bow on it. It's just continuing the conversation about the slap. People gave him a standing ovation at that point, and that just seemed very tone deaf. I mean, I understand they were probably. The standing ovation was intended for the performance, but I was very frustrated by that. And that's just goes to my reasoning for why he shouldn't have been on stage. So back to the regular Oscars. The other thing that frustrated me, this is really petty. But do you know how many TikTok stars were invited to the goddamn Oscars? And Rachel Zegler had to beg her way in there.
And then she got put next to the tallest human alive.
But made a really funny joke. I love that joke.
The joke was solid, man. Yeah. And then they had an adorable backstage moment. So like these are the things I'm just gonna cherish. But I mean, the TikTok stars. It's just that's once again the Steve Buscemi meme. How do you do, fellow kids? Like we're not there. You're not doing this anymore. Just make it classic again and just see what happens. I don't know. Maybe nothing, but
I don't even think that's going to work. Honestly, I don't have an answer, but this just needs to, because when you look at this broadcast, it wasn't very different. It was all about like, oh, like this is the year the Academy's going to reinvent itself and blah, blah, blah. They didn't do shit. So whatever. Like I'm kind of, I know you're not tired of these and you'll keep watching until you're the very last person watching the Oscars, I think is what you're.
That was one of the things I said.
But like, I'm getting very tired of it because it's not it's not celebrating the movies, it's celebrating the individuals. That's their intent, and it bothers me.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if they do, it will be just like the most outstanding experiment if they just do a 5-hour show Like add a few more categories, put all the categories in there, let the time just run. And like, I just want to see that. I know it's impossible and won't happen. It literally won't happen. But I just really want to just like see something crazy like that happen. And just be fine with the ratings that happen and just see.
Do you know what I think should? You know what I think should happen? I think they should take was it SAG last year that did a pre-recorded thing? I think they should pre-record it and still host their big party or whatever, but put it on the giant screen, support a movie theater or something like that, have some sort of like Regal event there, not Regal theaters, you know what I mean? And go from there. Like I think they need to tighten it up, bring presenters in, but have it pre-recorded, make it move along and call it a day, because it never works. The Oscars do not work and they need to fix it.
I did this with myself. I looked back and I thought about the last good Oscars, and they weren't that far back ago. I mean, obviously this year's were terrible. Last year's were horrific. I almost think last year's might have been worse still. Like this year's were pretty bad, but last year's really might have been worse. That was the train station year. The year before that was Parasite, so I'm blinded by that because I thought that was so amazing. So, but the actual like ceremony probably not that good. I won't do this to you now, but I think like honestly, it was like the Kimmel years. Kimmel did it twice, 2 years in a row, and I think that the first year he did it might have been like the best year where like things actually like went very smoothly and everything went quick. He did a couple of gags, but moved on, and I think that's just all it needs to be. And it's just I don't know. We keep on going back and forth, but
yeah. Let's move on. Let's start talking about some news and look towards future movies. So future Oscar nominated film Blue Beetle, which is now going to be in theaters next summer. Is it? Is it? Has just signed Sharon Stone as the villain. This is so interesting to me because the film itself, of course, is very much a Latin American film in the way that the character is a Latin American character, and then they are diving into excuse me, casting that is very well representative of the Latin American community, or Latin community, I should say, not saying they're all Latin American. And then you get Sharon Stone. But they're not really saying who she is going to play. Oh, wait. Victoria Cord in Warner Brothers DC's Blue Beetle. So while you react, let me look that up to remind myself of who that is.
I mean, Sharon Stone is a villain in what is this, Marvel or DC? DC, right?
Yes.
Yeah, DC. In a DC movie. I mean, yeah, I'm in for this. I mean, Sharon Stone, like the Stone-a-sots. Let's make this happen. I think it's been like just fun trying to like watch her. I feel like she's navigated a few different things. She was in The Disaster Artist, which I thought was like her just having fun, like, kind of like winking at herself, having fun with herself. And so this might be that same thing where it's just like really that like, kind of like just goofing off. Because at this point with her, it's just something where she's an icon, and the rest of this seems like the rest of this casting is a lot of new blood. So it would be really cool to see someone like the icon there and like, just like maybe like draw in a slightly older crowd. I don't think that will work too much, but maybe they draw her to Basic Instinct.
So it looks like the way that they are structuring this character. So Cord Industries is a company that's run by Ted Cord, the second and most well-known version of the Blue Beetle, who himself took up the mantle from Dan Garrett. This version of the Blue Beetle is focused on I forget which character. Anyway, Jamie Reyes is this version of the Blue Beetle. It's the third and most recent version of the Blue Beetle. So Victoria Cord obviously is going to be related to Ted Cord in some way, or if they're just kind of getting rid of Ted and replacing him with Victoria, who knows? But that is the connection there. It looks like she will be one of two antagonists, the other one being Carapax, the indestructible man. So I don't really know anything about it, but nice to see Sharon Stone get involved in there. I'm into it. I like her.
I'm absolutely on board. Like this, when I heard this news, this sounded like just like absolutely. I had a good chuckle because I got the first reaction with you just before the pod went on, and I was like, oh, this is just lovely. This just sounds like a delicious. Like Sharon Stone is a comic book villain. I'm in. Like that's just like the perfect casting. I don't even know the comic at all.
Oh man. Well, let's switch over to the MCU, but sticking with superheroes here. There's been a long rumored Nova movie or Nova project. And Nova is actually happening now per deadline with Moon Knight's writer Sabir Pirzada attached to the project. We still don't know if it's a movie. We don't know if it's a series. I'm leaning towards a movie probably because this is a character that people have been waiting for quite a long time. Or maybe they'll introduce him in a small series and then put him in the movies or something. It seems to be part of their new approach to things. But the character in Nova is actually a teenager named Richard Rider who inherits powers from a Nova Corps member and becomes a part of that team. And that was the team that was first mentioned in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So there are links there, but they must be big on Moon Knight.
Was Nova? Oh, that's the one reaction I had is that the fact that like, they brought on the Moon Knight writer right away. Like it's just, that means that, okay, at the very least, they have a good working relationship, even if that thing crashes and burns. Like it's like,
They're
hey,
besties.
We got along great. Like we're
They're
at least
besties.
77% friends. So Nova is so Nova is the Glenn Close, John C. Reilly people.
What?
In Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Because remember when Glenn Close and John C. Reilly were in 2 minutes of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Remember when Glenn Close is now doing the videos and voiceover for the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Epcot?
Is that true? That's not true. That's unbelievable. That's wonderful. Really? It's fascinating that those two are there. Now now I'm going into quite a bit of Marvel mythos. And didn't Thanos kill all of Nova to get the stone? And it was done like off screen. And it was implied because he had that stone.
I don't
Spoilers,
know.
Maybe.
I mean, spoiler is this character inherits the powers from, I think, a dying Nova. So maybe that's a link somewhere where like this has been happening. Maybe we go back in time like we did with Captain Marvel to understand exactly what's going on,
Yeah, that actually could happen. Yeah. At this point, I think, it could be like before that happened. Yeah. Oh, regardless, I mean, I'm in. I mean, This seems like it's like a landscape sort of sci-fi sort of thing. Like there's like really, really, high stakes involved, but they're like putting it into this one personal guy. I love this. I love this idea. I'm talking way out of my depth right now. Oscars.
Do you know who's going to end up playing him?
Oh, let's see. Nova. Ryan Reynolds.
No. Jacob Elderly or whatever his name is.
Yes,
I will put money on it.
Oh my God, that would be wonderful. I think I would actually, if I were you, I would put money on it. I don't know if it's in Vegas yet, but I bet Nova casting.
Maybe that's what we'll start doing. Maybe we'll create a casting betting site.
Casting betting site. We'd make our bones on Oppenheimer.
There was another edition of Oppenheimer today.
There was another one. Is it Nathan Iraldi?
I don't recognize the name, but let's talk about the Flash's Ezra Miller. Days after Mads Mikkelsen praised Ezra Miller for his work ethic and all in Fantastic Beasts 3. What's interesting here, I don't even know if it's interesting, but Sunday night he was arrested in Hawaii. That's Ezra Miller who was arrested in Hawaii, not Mads Mikkelsen. From Deadline, quote, he became agitated while patrons at the bar began singing karaoke. I identify with that. Yes. And then Miller then reportedly, quote, began yelling obscenities and at one point grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman singing karaoke and later lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts. It's what's kind of interesting about this is he was I'm trying to find. Yeah, he was arrested on the offenses of disorderly conduct, which was taking the microphone, and I don't mean to laugh. And then harassment was the offense for lunging at the 32-year-old man. It seems like this just all came out of like, I think the bar owner had asked him to calm down and nothing happened. So I think they just like, they're fed up with him. This is not his first incident. We saw the incident a while back, like 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, where he pretty much like body slammed someone at a meet and greet or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So going back to the Will Smith thing, I do worry about his mental state. Like clearly there's something going on here, and I don't know if it's I'm not even going to theorize what it is, but it just seems like one, he needs to be held accountable, but two, we also need to make sure that these individuals are getting the help and attention that they need.
It's a mental issue mixed with like an entitlement issue. I think that
And alcohol.
And then also like, yeah, put a little booze in there too. There is a disdain for karaoke, but that doesn't justify anything.
Sweet Caroline,
boy, oh boy. Like I was wondering if it was Four Non-Blondes, but if it wasn't, that just I don't know. It's really tough. No, it's not tough. I don't know why I said that. It's really tough that like we have to deal with this. You think that these people could lose their jobs, and sometimes they do on these movies. So it would almost seem like that would be like the better course of action eventually. Like these people are going to have consequences for their actions. Those consequences may not be legal. They may not be like more, but it would be great if it would be career wise, because it seems like we're given too many chances at this point. And yeah.
Well, my initial reaction to all this was, oh God, here we go with the people that are upset about Johnny Depp and voted Minamata as the number 3 best scene or whatever fan favorite, because nobody saw it, but who are upset that Johnny Depp was removed for a completely different situation, and then are probably from a movie that Ezra Miller is in, from Fantastic Beasts 3. And then also we have Ezra in The Flash, obviously, and tied to that is Amber Heard in Aquaman 2. So it's just, I'm like, here we go. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for this discourse.
It's like, I have an idea. Take Amber Heard and Ezra Miller out of all of those movies. I would be kind of psyched about it.
I wouldn't. I have issues about that. Like, yeah. I mean, like, the thing that bothers me the most about the Johnny Depp situation is that we only know the half of it because there are legal proceedings still going on. And part of the action that was taken was after a court of law in England ruled against Depp and basically like, I'm not getting into the details, but like put some veracity behind the claims that he was doing these abusive things. Now, the claims on the other side are that Amber Heard's also doing it. And that's what's before the court. Like all this shit is going through the court in a defamation case and whatnot. It's just, I hate when
my petition to removal Amber Heard is because I don't like her as an actress. Nothing to do with legal proceedings.
I don't mind her as Mara because I think it just like it is what it is at this point.
It's not much of a role anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't care about recasting that role, you know. And then like Ezra, I think he can be a good actor. I do like him. I know that people are split on him when it comes to Flash. But I think he's been good as Credence in the Harry Potter, the Fantastic Beasts movies. He just hasn't had much to work with because the movies haven't been the best. So hopefully that changes. But
has he had a line in them yet? I'm wondering.
Very, very few.
Yes,
of course, at the end of the second one, we find out from Grindelwald that he's a Dumbledore, which I don't believe is true. I'm thinking through this a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot because I just watched the movie again today. But who knows?
Boy.
Switching gears to HBO Max here, it is getting a prequel series.
No,
no, it is called Welcome to Derry. Will be set in the 1960s in the time leading up to the events of It Part 1. The story is also said to include the original story of Pennywise the Clown. So we're gonna have flashbacks and shit. Oh no, 1960s. We won't have flashbacks. It'll just happen. Anthony Muschietti, who directed both of the It movies, is executive producing along with his wife. And they developed the story for the show. And yeah, I don't care.
I'll dip into the waters of curiosity on this one, but
you'll watch the whole series.
I don't think I'll watch the whole thing if it starts out sucking. I don't have hope for this. That's for sure. But yeah, I'll probably watch the whole thing.
I do like that the original that those two are that Anthony and Barbara are involved since they were involved or did the first two. I do like that continuation, but I don't know. Is Stephen King involved? Like, I would like to see some involvement there.
Is it a King story even, or is this just like they're just like gonna like make Derry?
They developed the idea for it.
King did.
No, the Fuchettis and Jason Fuchs. Fuchs.
That was that took a turn.
What do you think that is? Like, how do you say it? Fuchs.
Fuck Sketty. But I think that I don't know. If you're not bringing in or not bringing in King, or it's not really based off of a King work, then what are you doing tying something to King? I don't think that's great. This seems like this will be then very separate. Like I don't love it. I mean, what was the show on Hulu that every series was like a reference to King stuff, which was kind of cool, but like it just was like more of like this fun little King universe with Easter eggs, and I was like, okay, if it turns into that, I'll be bored pretty quickly, unfortunately.
Muschietti is also going to direct the first episode should it move forward.
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything about Spielberg, about Stephen King being involved. Nope, nothing about Stephen King being involved. So there's that.
I mean, hey, who knows? It could be just like absolutely amazing, but I feel a little bit sick.
Certain people we know will give it an A++. All right. Michael Bay has a new movie coming out called Ambulance. And Michael Bay is not a fan of the movie Ambulance. No, he's been bashing the CGI, which is really fascinating. It's his movie. He directed this movie. But basically he said, quotes, most of it's real stunts. There's very few blue screen shots in the film. There's a couple of shots I wasn't happy with. Okay. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's the thing about this. It does seem like it's a very it's a stupid comment, but it's a very casual comment where like I think he was being kind of a little bit self-deprecating, and like he was just like, I don't know, it was kind of bad here. Like, I don't know. This feels like it might be getting blown out of proportion, much like probably one of the bad shots in this movie. It seems like he was just like kind of like I don't know. It was a piece of shit. Like this shot was a piece of shit. Like. And Bay is the kind of guy that does make those offhanded idiot comments. Nothing like it's always just playful, stupid shit, but like stuff that like, all of a sudden is like made into a lot more than what it was, which in this was like a quick comment. But my one thing about this is if he's serious about him being pissed about like a shot or two that's like off, isn't this on his watch? Like, as the director, I don't know how movies work, maybe, but doesn't the director kind of sign off at the end? Like, don't they give it a once over before they ship it on over to the theater?
Yeah, I just wonder if it was a time thing and money thing, and who knows what happened there. But
all I know is that Sam and I are extremely excited to see this still, and the reviews are coming in, and they're really bad. And Sam and I are really excited to see it, and we're calling it because of how it's done in the font, Ambulance.
Are the reviews bad coming in?
You know what? I've only seen one from a guy on Instagram, so I don't know.
Oh, the reviews are coming in and they're bad. I've seen one. Okay.
I guess that was a casual comment that was blown out of proportion.
76%.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Ambulance. There we go.
I'm looking forward to trying to figure out which two scenes he's not happy with.
Oh no. It'll be like it's the Anthony Ramos pool scene.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
I hope it's that obvious.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's get to rants and raves. I don't think I have a rant or a rave. I've been thinking all day about this.
Do you want to rant about my rave? Because I think what I'm about to say is very controversial and stupid.
No, I understand where you're coming from with where I think you're going with this.
Maybe.
I think it makes sense to me.
Oh, okay.
But maybe because I haven't really paid for a movie ticket in a long time. So why don't you go?
You know how you said, like, do you get mad when you talk about screeners? That one hurt. Okay. So when it comes to the flexible ticket prices, this is coming from them overcharging for the Batman. AMC theaters overcharging for the Batman by $1. And that went viral, and people went a little crazy because they were paying $14 instead of $13. $13 is too much for a movie. $14 is too much for a movie. I'm not going there with this, but here's where I like this idea. It's like, okay, Batman, sure, $14, $15, $16, $17. I get it. It's Batman, high demand. However, Batman is then in theaters for a while. That price begins to drop. That price begins to drop lower and lower, $10, $7, $6, $4. Then it's on HBO Max. No one's watching it in the theater, so maybe like $5, $4, a lot lower. This, I like this theory. By the way, this is not actually how things are working, but this is my own little theory. I want this, but I want this because of the other independent films. And I think that this could be interesting for independent films and stuff like that. I paid $12 to see Titan. I shouldn't have paid $12 to see Titan. Same with The Rescue. Same with documentaries, like these movies that hey, sometimes we could argue are better than Batman if we argue that and stuff like that. But in this sort of thing aren't as high in demand. Independent films, The Outfit, I paid like $11, $12, something like that. So what should I actually have paid? I don't know, maybe it's not that popular of a movie. There's not a high demand in that. There were a few people in the theater, not a lot. Maybe if I pay like $6, $5. Now, if this gets out that this kind of price range ticketing is going on, maybe there'll be more people going to the theater. There'll be more people seeing our artistic films, possibly. But then the price for those artistic films might go up, and I'm starting to not like my idea anymore. But I'm just thinking something in the ways of, if this is going to happen where you're going to upcharge for some movies, I think you need to know how to downcharge for other movies. And I think that sort of scale would be interesting. It would be kind of a cool experiment to just to get people to go to the theaters, because that's the number one thing people say is it's expensive, and oh my God, it is.
But here's why it would never happen.
Yes. Oh, it won't happen. Yeah.
Studios still need to make their money. So a percentage of ticket prices are going to studios. I don't think you'll ever see them drop below a $12 or $13 ticket, or the matinee tickets at certain theaters or whatever it may be. I think you're going to see the flexible pricing with some of the blockbusters like Batman, probably the superhero movies. Let's just say they're probably all going to be up there. I don't think you'll ever see them really drop much. Maybe you'll see them later on, and maybe the artsy films will drop to a $9 or $8 or something or whatever. But then you start playing with box office tallies, and you start having to reconfigure how that all works based on the money that studios are getting, and it's not going to happen.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. You're the awards guy. I'm the box office guy.
You were definitely the box office guy. Yeah, I was out of my element there. Damn. I want it though. That's my fantasy.
I want it. I want cheaper things. I want it.
Or the fact that my theater now, they all recognize me. So I wish they would just be like, hey, come on. Free tickets.
If I was going to rant about something, I would rant about that whole. I actually should have saved it. It would be the TikTokers getting invited and Rachel Zegler having to beg online for a ticket. That really pissed me off. But what I'll rave about is three things. I forgot to bring this up earlier. Three things real quick, or three speeches, I should say. One is Ariana DeBose's speech was absolutely beautiful and a wonderful way to start off the show. I teared up a little bit, and when she invoked the line from West Side Story saying there is a place for all of us, I was like, that was wonderful. Troy Kotsur, of course, was a fantastic speech. Wonderful. Great to see that recognition and representation. And then Jessica Chastain, baby, when she dove into just basically the sweeping bill, the bills that are sweeping the country and all that shit around LGBTQ. And also just spoke about representation and basically spoke her mind the entire time. I was losing it. I was clapping. I was cheering. I loved it so much.
I loved that one because it was a great, it was a solid political Oscar speech. And sometimes those can go a little bit sideways at times. And hers was nope, I'm first going to invoke something that affects all of us, then something that it affects for more people, and then legislation that's causing that. And it's like boom, boom, boom. I've got you now. And it was just this good stirring move where it's you go, Chastain. Oh, it's awesome.
I absolutely love that. And she was talking about the Don't Say Gay bill, which was signed into law yesterday by the Florida governor. So you'll see some ranting about that coming out from me as things develop with that. Disney did release a statement saying that it's their intent to advocate for the repeal or overturning of the bill or knocking down of the bill in the courts. So we'll see where that goes. Let's see what action they put behind it. But Bob Chapek is still very much not out of the woods when it comes to his response to this bill. So Disney has been pretty interesting to pay attention to here. Sean, there are some big movies coming out this weekend. I know that you're most excited for Morbius.
We got to do a Morbius app, right?
I think we do. I think we have to do a Morbius app.
Oh, God, we got to do a Morbius. All right, so tentative Morbius app coming out.
Tentative Morbius app. Moonshot is hitting HBO Max. Morbius, of course, in theaters. The Contractor in theaters. You Won't Be Alone hits theaters, and this is one that I'm going to reshare my review for. This is a horror film that I saw at Sundance. I'll be having a feature come out tomorrow after being part of a press thing with the one of the stars and the director. This is just a really great horror film. It is it's not horror in the sense of like scare the crap out of you. It is just a very good, thought-provoking, evocative, like nothing you've seen before. And I'm very excited for people to see it because it's been a while since I did, and I really enjoyed it. So that comes out in theaters. Apollo 10.5, A Space Age Childhood comes out on Netflix. Better Nate Than Ever hits Disney Plus. Memoria hits limited theaters, and The Bubble hits Netflix. We did run an Oscar pool. Congratulations to Darren's movie reviews for beating everyone. I am tired of sending things to Canada. So there's that.
Did he win again? He won last year, right?
He didn't win. I don't think he won last year, but he's won trivia multiple times.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So I have his address in my Amazon account. It's wonderful. Anything coming up for you, Sean?
Boy, for me, I'm going to try to see some movies. I got some reviews coming out. But other than that, just, continue on the page. I'm trying to think. Oh, well, you
pretty much just said business as usual. I'm going to watch movies and reviews.
I don't know. Well, maybe I have an exciting announcement in, a few weeks.
Do I know this one?
Yeah, I texted you.
Oh, what we talked about earlier. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to say it yet, but
I hear you. Don't put that out there.
But soon.
Yeah. And I'm pregnant. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you for doing that because I felt weird just like that.
But yeah, we'll try to do a Morbius episode this weekend. Otherwise, we'll be back next week, and we are on the countdown to our 100th episode, which I am already planning, and I am so excited for.
What are we doing?
It is. You'll find out.
Don't do that. Wait, come on.
No, you'll find out when I find out because I say we just started planning, I mean I just made a file for it. I haven't done shit about it yet, but it'll be we'll be talking about it. Yeah, made a file. That's how you know it's serious. There's a file on my computer about it. All right, my dog is staring at me and he needs to go pee, and I'm afraid that he's going to do it right on the floor in front of me, and I think you also need to pee. So please don't do that on the floor in front of me. Sean, talk to you later. As always, thanks for listening. You can follow both Joe and Sean on Instagram at Guy at the Movies and Math Teacher Movies. New episodes of the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean are available every Wednesday morning wherever you get your podcasts. Also, be on the lookout for special spoiler pods where we dive deep into the latest film releases. If you like what you hear, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.